Justin Tomlinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and it's a real pleasure to follow the honourable member for Tottenham. His first-hand experience and wealth of knowledge was apparent on there, and the real passion in the way he delivered it. Good luck to the Shadow Minister following that. I think from our side we're probably grateful he isn't on the front benches. That was a very impressive performance. And for me, the importance of apprenticeships are summed up in the fact that 90% of those who complete an apprenticeship will go on to either work or further training. That compares fantastically to 80% of the working age population are in work, 48% of those who have a disability are employed, which is up 4%, but it's still considerably less than 90%. And the area I want to focus on are those with learning disabilities who in this country would expect to have a 6% chance of having a meaningful, sustainable career. Now, I know the Minister is incredibly passionate in this area. In fact, when I was the Minister for Disabled People, he was lobbying me to do something about this. And I had my view transformed on this because I had a very tricky TV interview, and they said governments of all political persuasions have tried, have tweaked, have made changes, and it's made almost no difference, bobbing between 5 and 6%. Yet I went to go and do a visit at Fox's Hotel in Bridgewater. It was a working hotel, and they took on people with learning disabilities, young adults, and it was a combination of teaching them independent living and also practical working skills within the hotel, within the restaurant, and it was in conjunction with the local restaurants, local hotels and local care homes. And 80% of those young adults who completed the 3-year course ended up staying in one of those employers, of which half of them, about 46.6%, were paid, contrasting to 6%. I was so impressed, I asked representatives to come to meet me in Westminster, and I said to them, why can't we just have one of these in every single town? It wouldn't necessarily be a hotel, because the key here is it's what the skills are in that particular town. So in Bridgewater, tourism, care homes and restaurants are where the jobs are. In other towns it could be manufacturing, it could be engineering. We all have our own skills gaps in our constituencies. And the frustration was, they said back to me, was the work-placed training. There was sufficient funding to take on almost as many students as they could fit into the hotel for the first 2 years, but that 1 year in the work placement was the bit that cost the money. And I asked them, and I said to them, but surely that's an apprenticeship. Because what they are doing is they are patiently training somebody who will typically take a little bit longer to get the skills. But the advantage for the employers is with that support and patience, they would have somebody who would continue in that role probably for the next 25 years and probably be the happiest person in their workforce. So it was a win-win situation. But that's where the problem came. So I met with the then Skills Minister, and we formed a task group chaired by the MP for Blackpool South and Cleveland. And knowing that there was a reshuffle coming up and potentially the two of us might no longer be troubling the front benches, we set a 3.5-week time limit for that. And I'm delighted that the task force concluded and we signed off to say that more would be done to make apprenticeships available for those with learning disabilities. In particular, exempting those with a learning disability from the grade C for GCSE Maths and English, which was a hurdle too far for too many of these young adults to get. In effect, giving them a slightly different version of the apprenticeship, but fundamentally providing the funding for which this government will be putting £2.5 billion per year by 2020, to give those young adults that real tangible. So my request of the Minister, who was so desperate to see this, is that he will personally champion this, push this as quickly as possible, make sure that providers understand there is this opportunity to bring it forward. And in terms of brevity, I have two very other quick requests. There are still too many employers, particularly small employers, who do not know of the advantages of apprenticeships. Now, before I became an MP, in the years of only 5,000 a year, I don't recognise that because I was only a small employer and I took on apprentices. Too many small employers don't know about it. We send a business rate mailer out every year. Please include a leaflet in that to say this is how you recruit an apprenticeship and this is how you will benefit. And finally, when meeting with education ministers, please lobby them over UTCs. In my mind, it is ridiculous that we only allow children to enter halfway through secondary school age rather than at the beginning of a secondary school. Too many talented future engineers and mechanics who could go on to do apprenticeships at a later date end up staying in their existing school because they've made their friends. It is a silly age to bring people in. I know the Minister is passionate. I know he's really focused on this, and I look forward to his response.
Thank you very much indeed. Julie Cooper.